the guy just turning around and sort of shouting in my face that was the line has sort of stuck. Like, oh God, I've just remembered a time an audience tried to beat me up. That was
Oh,
probably
fuck yes, please.
It was my very, very first visit to the Edinburgh Fringe. I did a little short run, and it was at midnight in a bar about half an hour's walk away from the centre of Edinburgh. So I wrote a show I was in character as a deluded wannabe stand-up. Nobody's had this idea before of like, I'll satirize bad comedy by being a bad comedian. So one time I did that and hadn't set it up in the right way. They had no idea that I was doing a character act. Like, the character was basically just generally a show-off and a dickhead. There was a bit where he picked on a woman in the audience and tried to flirt with her. Say he, it was me, but like the character of this comedian. And normally when the audience are on board, that bit played well, and I chose somebody who had been joining in so far and who I knew wouldn't feel uncomfortable and was all right. And on this one, I'd got it wrong. I'd got the vibe of the whole thing wrong. So the woman I chose just didn't want to be involved and was like, leave me alone. So at one point, a guy got up and just shouted at me and was like, you're treating the audience really horribly. You're being a bad comedian.
Oh, he's dropping a valid point as well.
Yeah. So this guy very valiantly and rightly, but drunk and didn't understand, so I stood up and went, stop treating this woman badly. She doesn't want to be involved. Everything you've said has been, you're shit. You're not as good as you think. Just correctly kind of did a character takedown of all the things that I'd written this character to be. And then he started rallying support from the rest of the room who were all drunk. And he was like, let's punch this guy in the face. And it got almost to the point of a lot of them were then cheering along and being like, yeah, punch him, fucking punch him in the face. And I then had to stand. I can't remember why I stood on a barrel, but I stood on a barrel because I felt like I'd lost control.
I'll tell you have.
I thought I need to reassert my control over this situation, otherwise I'm going to be beaten up by my own audience. So I climbed onto a barrel and went, stop, please. And then I started crying.
No, dude.
Yeah, so I started crying. I'd never been to the Fringe before. So I got on this barrel and started crying and said, I'm sorry, I made this show. It was supposed to be a funny character where he's supposed to be bad, and that was supposed to be funny, but I got it wrong. And then I felt like I was embarrassed. Fair enough. I was embarrassed. I thought, I need to make sure these guys know that I can be a good comedian. And I was like, actually, on other nights, it's gone very well, guys. Tonight, I did.
All right, guys. Okay, sit down. On other nights, it's gone very well. Okay, sit down. Yeah.
Apparently, this has gone well before.
Do you remember what the audience's reaction was when you started crying?
I think it was just silence. I don't think there was even like you'd assume that maybe there'd be a ripple of like, oh no, we hurt his feelings. I think it was just shock. I think they didn't understand what was going up to that point. And then I guess when you watch somebody get on a barrel and say it was supposed to be a character thing and then start crying, I guess then your immediate response is like, oh, is this a character thing? Is this another layer?
Oh, he's very good. He's very good.
And then they have to keep watching and go, no, it is just a man crying. I abandoned the show. I was like, I'm not going to do the rest of the show because I've done it wrong. So I'm going to cancel it. And I think they felt so bad about watching this poor little boy standing on a barrel going, I tried to do a comedy show and it failed. There was the guy who tried to punch me in the face put 20 quid in the bucket. And I made more money in the bucket that night than on any other night in that run. They hated it.